RPN is not responsible for the views, actions, opinions, or statements of its guests, advertisers, or even its viewers. The information on this program is not to be construed as medical or legal advice. An appearance on the show is not necessarily to be considered an endorsement, and as always, we encourage you to do your own research. Enjoy the show. Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. As always, I am Zach, the Corruption Detector, and this is another edition of Red Pill News for Friday Night Livestream. Hope everyone's having a lovely evening. We're going to be talking tonight about a subject I have specifically tried to avoid because I didn't necessarily want to bring attention to it. But at this point, it's gotten where I think it is necessary. We're going to have to talk about it because it's no longer an egotistical, attention-seeking person simply trying to draw attention. It has now implicated other people in crimes, opened them up to civil liability, and I think it's time that we do it. So please, everyone, sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. More than likely, you've heard the laundry list of benefits that using Turmeric has. Users report feeling and looking younger, and they get more energy, and they get better mental clarity. It's difficult, if not downright impossible, to get enough turmeric in the typical diet, and that's why this powerful turmeric product was created. With this product, you'll receive very powerful support for younger looking skin, peak energy levels, mental focus, healthy eyes, and more. Get your own bottle of this amazing product for 51% off plus free shipping by going to agewithredpill.com or by clicking the link in the description or pinned comment below. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, everyone, thanks for sticking around. Please join me in welcoming to the program tonight my guests, Archangel Michael and Miss Cuniverse Jenny. Michael, how are you tonight?
I'm pretty good, brother. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. Jenny, how about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Okay, awesome. So before we begin, I just want to make it clear to everyone, the point of this program is not to simply bash someone who is making claims. The point is to expose the truth of what's going on. Now, my guests tonight are both former members, if you will, of Austin Steinbart's team. I'd like to start, Michael, with you. Can you tell us just how you came to become involved with Austin Steinbart and what he's trying to do?
Well, for the most part, it was his message. Obviously the whole Q thing was pretty intriguing. There was a couple of those cool little proofs, I guess you could say. But for me, it was more or less the message, right? What he was trying to do was unify everybody, bring everybody together, try to help Trump out, move forward with helping Trump get elected, make sure he gets elected, and exposing the deep state. But as things progressed with him and going in deeper with him, wasn't quite the case.
All right, so not exactly what his stated message was. Jenny, how about yourself? How did you get involved with this situation?
Just following your show and a lot of other YouTubers, and I totally thought he was a LARP, and I had my mom and a good friend from back home that was on my case about checking him out. And then I was watching your show, and I think it was you and Methods maybe, and said something about him being in cahoots with Louisa from Goldfish Report. And I always liked her. So it made me go, hold on, I like her. I went through a similar situation with family court that she did. So I decided to give it a shot. And I never unfollowed anyone. I always listened to you guys. I've always been more about wanting to bring everybody together in the movement. That's always been my #1 focus. And so I just wanted to go to his court case that was on April 7th and just cover the hearing. So my mom and I went, and the rest is kind of history from there.
All right. Now, Michael, you said that his actions didn't quite line up with his stated goals. You told me that you lived with Austin Steinbart for about 2 months. Is that right?
Yeah, give or take a week.
All right.
Pretty much, yeah.
So you got to know him pretty well.
Sure.
What were his actual behavior patterns in regards to what he was stating to everybody was his goals?
Ultimately, the big picture was promoting him. You know what I mean? The entire time, especially there at Geronimo, never once did we have a meeting about helping Trump or anything pushing Trump or exposing the deep state, or as he calls it, the D6. We did work on, you know what I mean, videos, putting them out there about information, but this is stuff that everybody already has out there. Q was already dropped. Nothing new, you know. It was just more or less find Austin interviews, promote him, build Steinbart Media, let's try to get a big army put together. And it was never, you know what I mean? Never once did we have a meeting, anything Trump, anything exposing.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the basis of Austin's claims is that he himself is Q, that it's him posting on the boards under these trip codes, that he's doing it with the use of a quantum computer from the future, and that he is some type of a governmental agent. I believe he said an off-books DIA agent. And the off-books part, I always assumed that would give him some type of plausible deniability if someone asked for proof of governmental service. But did he ever try to offer you any type of physical evidence to show that he was in fact you, or that he was a governmental agent, or even that he was in possession of a quantum computer?
He wouldn't, and we never got a single crumb from him specifically. It would be things like literally, it would be stuff that other people would find. They would bring it to like his attention, and he would just give that nod. It's never like he was putting that on himself at all. He wasn't trying to ever say, oh, look to this, or look to this, or you'll find a proof here. It was always everybody else finding everything for him. And really, like, there wasn't really that many real solid proofs, right? Like the whole prayer, the whole armor of God thing, like that was never a direct link. You know what I mean? And I will say, I will say that I was pretty drawn into that, but that's not the case. It never turned out to be that. Same as that's the 10:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Q post. It's not a direct link to the full armor of God. There's a couple of the music videos and stuff like that. There was the Mario Brothers thing with the Trump administration and their presser, where they referred to levels 3 to level 7, skipping the video games, and Mario Brothers was the only video game that could do that. But that could very simply be all the same as like earlier today with the Trump saying 78 3 times, like we were discussing earlier. That could just be them calling him out. You know what I mean? Very simple. It could be a double-edged sword. So there was never, ever anything solid. That's for sure.
All right. Jenny, how about you? Did you ever inquire with him about any type of proof? I mean, I know that you've done some excellent research yourself. You're interested in getting to the bottom of things. But was this anything that you asked him for? Did you ever press him for anything concrete?
The only thing that I had asked him back when I was in the hearing, I believe it was, I'm trying to think which hearing it was. I believe it was the hearing when his pretrial services officer was asked by the judge if he had any proof of him being a DIA agent. And he had said that he had spoken to a lieutenant in the DIA that was a friend of his, but lieutenants are pretty low ranking in the DIA. And he did say that Austin was not, nobody knew him there. He was not working there. But I mean, that's easily explained away if Austin was indeed off book. So right. What he had told him, he had said when he was supposed to prove proof of employment, he said to Justin, "I'm sorry, but I can't tell you that. I'll have to have somebody talk to your superior," or else he was going to talk to his superior. But Justin wasn't having any of that. That's the gentleman's name. That's the officer. He's the pretrial services officer. And when I went up to Geronimo for the first day, it was July 13th. That was the first time I was ever up there because I didn't live there. So I was in the circle, but on the outer circle, I guess you'd say. And I had asked Austin, I said, so, let's just say Justin said, all right, well, I'll get my superior. Would you have been able to prove that? And he's like, no, probably not. So that was like as close as I got to something. So I don't know if it would have been him talking or somebody else talking to the superior, but he never got that chance because Justin didn't give him the chance. But that's as close as I came, I guess. I wasn't even pit fishing. It was just kind of just making conversation, but it's something I've remembered since I've been doing this deep dive ever since I kind of stepped away. Well, I did step away on August 1st.
What about some of his other claims? Oh, I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Michael?
I was just going to be quick and just say that in the beginning it was about the message, but as things progressed, more things were showing behind the scenes that he is not Q than anything else. You know what I mean? This is where we started to bridge away and questions. And, I was giving him a lot of pushback, especially with the quantum computer thing and the messaging and all that stuff. It just made no sense. And as we got further into it, more people grew into it. He was telling, to me, it was like he was telling more lies to each person, and he was having a hard time keeping up with those lies. And behind the scenes, a lot of people don't see it, but there was a lot of odd things going on to make you question, for sure.
I want to talk about that specifically, but before we get to the lies, I want to ask about some of the other specific claims, specifically about his claims of being a multimillionaire, his claims of being in the process of constructing the 60 or 70,000 foot compound, which was going to be his residence, and as a reward for being the leader of the Space Force. I mean, was there ever anyone around from the Space Force, or was there ever any evidence about the compound?
We never saw the one person that could truly identify themselves as military or working with the government was his chief of staff, Sabrina.
Okay.
So she worked for the DOD. She's 20 years Air Force, a real patriot. She was there because of Austin's mission. She saw it not because he was Q, but because of what he was trying to do. Now with the Space Force mansion, as he calls it, that could be a very easy thing that he could prove, and nothing came from it. He said all that went into his wife's name, along with the crypto wallet, everything like that. But like simple things like him wanting to get the place at Geronimo, where, especially where he says, he doesn't need money for this movement. He calls out the Pharisees, but yet he's relying on all of us to pay his way, right? So being there, he specified it had to have a basketball court, and everybody knows he loves basketball. He's a high school star, all that bit. But the Space Mansion doesn't have a basketball court. It's got a polo field and it's got a tennis court, but no basketball court. He's never picked up a tennis racket. He doesn't know how to ride a horse. I've had this discussion with him. We ended up later digging into it that could very well be the owner of GoDaddy that's having that house built. So we just don't know. The crypto wallet thing, first his wife had it. He was going to be divorcing his wife to hide his assets, and she was part of it. She was going to, the whole bit. But and then that turned out to be a farce. Then turned out to be that the FBI had his crypto wallet with the billions on it. Mm-hmm. That was another story that he told. Then when it turned out he was technically by law, you have to be sworn in with the government before you can be paid. So Sabrina, being the only eligible person there to legally swear him in, she swore him in, but she even put documents out there for him to sign that he should have known weren't the real documents, and he still signed them. He just went along with it. He said the DIA had his wallet so he could get it then. That never came about. The papers, the big thing for Sabrina, for her to walk away from it all, was just any person that works for any department would know where these papers would have to be handed in. And she bugged him for a week on this. Where do these go? Where do I send these to? And he never could say. He was stumped. Those papers literally, they got thrown out. You know what I mean? So this crypto wallet thing, like what's that all about? The house thing, like these are major things. And a lot of people will say, like, hey man, you know, that's not the point. The point is the mission. But it's like these little things add up. You know, you see the lies start to unfold, especially behind the scenes. And he tries to dangle the carrot in front of everybody's face, right? And it didn't work with me. You know, everybody in there is like 30 years or younger. I don't know if they have the life experience or not, but you know, I've been around the block a few times to go, okay, like I know when I'm trying to be played here. For me, it was about his message. And as we got down there and we saw that it wasn't turning out that way, that's when I greased my feet and slid out. I was not fired. I was not sent packing. I left on my own accord. I've got proof to show for that. Same as Sabrina. You know, he slandered her, but dragged her name through the mud, created a lot of false stories. You know, I've got a lot of tangible evidence that can prove his lies, a lot of his lies, the little ones that add up. And this is the thing, right? Everybody's concerned, well, is he Q or is he not Q? Well, to me, that's not the point, right? The point is the message. Well, the message is now about him getting out there, and that's not right.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it seems like if it really was about the message, then there would have been something that you would have seen while you were there, which have, you know, lended itself to furthering that goal. But if it wasn't happening, it wasn't happening. Jenny, did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh, I was just going to say that same thing that I didn't. He had told me pretty unprompted after we shot one of the QNN episodes that, because I think maybe he was questioning that what I was wondering, like who's paying for all this. But he said, yeah, you know, well, once I get my crypto wallets back from the FBI, because they took it, you know, in the raid, they took my crypto wallets, and I didn't think anything of it until I heard that he said to somebody else that his wife had them. I'm like, that's not what he told me, you know, and that wasn't even a question I asked. That was totally unprompted. So same with the fact that I was dismissed. I wasn't. It was actually the 25th that I sent him a text saying, you know, thanks, but no thanks. It was basically a best of luck to you kind of a text. And I mean, you can see the rest of the text and see that I definitely did not get dismissed. If anything, he was going to try to give me my own show with a new host. So, you know, he basically put out that tweet, doxed pretty much their real names, and then blocked us all.
Yeah,
like couldn't even have any retort.
Again, he pulled like a deep state move. The first thing he did when we left and he knew that we weren't coming back was get out there and slander us. Then behind the scenes, he's telling me, and I have this all recorded, I have him specifically saying behind the scenes that, you know, I don't want any bad blood. I don't want any trouble. Nobody's going to say anything, you know, stuff like this. You know, and it's just, these are the things that have just added up and added up and added up, you know, and it's like, how much more can you take? How much more can a person deal with this? You know what I mean? So it's time. We're here. Let's get this, let's get a little bit of light on this, this darkness here.
All right. So we've actually got some of that phone call between you guys recorded. Now, it has been edited for time. It was an over 2.5 hour phone call, and there are portions of the phone call that have certain private information in them that that Michael and other people can't have come out to the public. So we're going to go ahead and play a portion of that phone call. Now, this is a clip that I released on my Twitter earlier today. In that segment that I put out, Austin states that he doesn't trust the president, he doesn't trust General Flynn, and he doesn't trust Elon Musk. Is that the other one that he said? I don't trust Elon Musk myself, but, you know, I definitely trust POTUS, and I definitely trust General Michael Flynn. To me, this is definitely not something who is one of the people, at least, behind this anonymous dropper on the board, this Anon, this is not something that person or one of those people would say. And already we've had people online stating that this must be a manipulated call. I can tell you that I have examined that clip. There is no manipulation in that statement, although that statement might have been taken out of context because there's nothing before or after it. We're going to play the context of that statement here in just a moment. Michael, do you have anything that you want to set up before I play this?
For that phone call there specifically, like I've given you some screenshots of things. Now, for that phone call itself, like he's obviously going to come out and say, well, I don't trust anybody. I'm a secret agent man and everything like that. But this was just another part of this where like he's literally shown me videos of him bashing Trump. You know what I mean? Specifically,
Really?
Oh yeah, like he's honestly, he's never spoken a good word of Trump. He makes fun of Trump, not on a regular basis. It's not like something every day or anything like that. But anytime we talk about Trump or like, it's just like, I'm telling you, zero Trump from him. Like it's just been pro Austin, and it's quite funny. Like the whole time we were there, like I think we watched one Trump, speech or something, and that was it. Like there was never any big message about Trump himself, and that's what I went down there for, So,
all right.
The contact, he will probably try to blow that out of the water and say, I don't trust anybody. I shouldn't trust anybody, but that's fine. That's fine. But like you said, the boards say about POTUS, trust POTUS.
I mean, that's one of the main messages of the posts. Okay, I mean to trust POTUS. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and cue this up, and let's go ahead and take a listen. It also has had profanity edited out, guys, so you're not going to have to worry about that.
No, I'm saying I don't have 100% trust in anyone.
Right.
Like not even close.
I know.
In anyone.
And it's a survival tactic. I
Zero.
don't know who to trust. I don't trust anybody in that house. I know that I can talk to you. Out of all the people there, you're the only person that I can talk to on a human level. You know what I mean? So I'm talking to you now. I tried talking to Penny. And Penny's like, oh, you're all against Austin. And I'm like, no, bro, I'm your friend. I thought I was your friend anyways. I'm just trying to protect you. I'm just trying to give you a heads up that you need to know that there's some bad shit going on there and you need to get the out. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Don't do it. But don't say I didn't warn you.
But what am I supposed to? Yeah, so what am I supposed to make of that? Obviously, I'm stuck here.
And I'm giving you the heads up. I'm giving you the heads up that there's something bad.
What?
I'm giving you the heads up. There's something bad going on there, and you need to.
You guys think if I do something with Sabrina, that means I just trust everyone so much more? When it's like I really don't trust anyone.
Good, and you shouldn't. And you shouldn't.
We have a core relationship with everybody, but I'm not in a position in life right now where I can afford to trust anyone.
Exactly, and
even I don't trust Donald Trump. I don't trust Elon Musk. I don't trust Michael Flynn. I don't trust anyone.
That's good. That's the way you should be thinking.
Literally anyone.
So you don't trust. So you don't trust Sabrina, and she's a psychopath lunatic. But you'll keep Michael Corey on when he's literally. Gave you mountains of evidence of him inciting drama and collecting data on you, and willing to screech you out, snitch you out, rat you out. And you keep him on, right? Like you don't demote him or at least send him to a hotel or say, hey, man, you can stay here, but go stay somewhere else because there's just too much.
We're looking for another house. We might be moving.
Okay.
So it might not be, right? Like you guys just act like nothing's happening just because you don't see what's happening.
No,
but there's a lot of considerations along those lines being made. And you just think that since this other stuff happened to go south first, right? Whereas I'm reprimanding and then she just gets mad and leaves, that it just means that I'm taking everyone else's side.
She didn't get mad and leave, dude. She left because she hasn't seen her kids in 3 weeks.
My side is trust no one.
Good. You should.
That's my side.
That's where you should be. That's where you should be. Tangible evidence.
From your standpoint, right now, right? If we're talking through this stuff right now. If you said you got picked up, are you being listened to right now? Are you recording me right now to do this stuff? I hope not, but I'm not 100% sure of anything.
Well, I could probably guarantee you that my phone's being recorded. You know what I mean? We'd be naive if we didn't think that.
Yeah, no, I agree, but that's the point, right? And then you're saying that people are trying to flip you. You won't tell me who. That's pretty concerning.
Yeah. Where's Kylie right now? Is she staying in the house?
She is off at the store or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And there's no way of proving that she didn't, or there's no way of finding out that maybe she did that knowing that you were mad at her and you kicked her out, or whatever. She went to her mom's, and what's stopping her? The timing on that's pretty coincidental.
Well, no, she was here when that happened.
But how do you know she didn't do it prior? You know?
Because I looked through every single transmission in her phone and computer.
No, that's not true. I thought you know because your outside sources told you Sabrina did it. This is where I'm finding it hard to fucking understand where you're coming from.
I've told you I've told you the same story every single time. That a lot of
You said you kicked her out.
things
You said you kicked her out, but now
strongly
she's at the
that it
store.
was her, and that I'm verifying with my people, and that I don't have 100% tangible on that. I've said that over and over and over again.
All right, so I guess just from the content of the phone call, obviously he's very, very paranoid. It doesn't sound like somebody who's part of a team who is supporting the mission of the president. Now, you said that it was all about raising his profile. It was all about getting people to follow him. Did you guys ever come across anything that made you think that there was something more specific going on? I mean, why? Why does he need people to follow him? Why does he need people to think that he is Q?
So with me, I just, I've had a couple of things I can't quite get into here right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I have reason to believe that, he's here to cause a little bit of problem for the QAnon movement. It's pretty relevant that he's out here self-promoting. He's not doing anything to help the movement. He's trying to build his media company and do all that. And I just want to kind of step back into the audio there. Again, his outside sources, I have tons him. That's him right there walking that back. You know what I mean? I've got screenshots of him saying 100% his outside sources have confirmed. You know what I mean? Then even in that whole thread of a conversation I have with him, he's walking it back. And why would he have to go and check everybody's phones if his outside sources have confirmed that? And Sabrina having his phone records, because it's in her name, supporting him. She's looked through all of his phone records, and she's able to identify every single call, every single caller, except for one number, and it was like a 4-second call. So unless he's got some secret thing that he's doing on his computer, which could very well be, or a pigeon flying to his bedroom window at night, who knows? You know what I mean? This guy's very sneaky, as he says. You know what I mean? He's very sneaky. So, but exactly like what you say, he doesn't trust anybody in the house. He doesn't trust anyone. So what kind of a leader is that? You got to put a little bit of trust in your men, right? You got to put a little trust into your troops. You got to put a trust into your commander, and his commander would be Trump if that were the case. And he's obviously not. I said to him specifically, him and I got in a very big argument one night because I went over to Jenny's house one night and visited her, right? And this is where it turns into a cult thing for him, because I go over and visit her for the night. She wanted to discuss some things with me. And Austin didn't like the fact that I went somewhere. I didn't tell him where I was going. I'm a 43-year-old grown man. You know what I mean? I have children. So I don't need some 29-year-old computer nerd telling me where and when I can do things and who I can do it with. So I go over to Jenny's, and he's sending me text messages like I'm way out of line and I've crossed the line doing this, and I need to get back to the house. And I'm like, really, bro? Seriously? I'm here on my own accord. It's all this stuff just adds up, Zach. And I'm telling you, it's pretty compelling, the things that I have. His outside sources. You know how many times I've shot holes through that? The big argument that I got into him with that, I was like, what would do if Rogers were to come in here, or Flynn were to come in here and saw the monkey business going on here? 2 months here, and we just start putting videos out in the last 2 weeks that I'm here. You know what I mean? We've had time to prepare for all this. You know what I mean? We've had the means, we've had the tools, but the first month and a half was literally partying, drinking. It was literally a frat house. No joke. People coming and going. He was having me collect everybody's ID, taking photographs of their driver's licenses so he could archive them. So in case if there was any outside discussions of things outside of Geronimo, you know, stuff like that. But yet everybody there was openly discussing things outside of Geronimo. Like, it's like, I don't want to say anything that could incriminate him because that's not what I'm here to do. But, you know, there's a lot of shady business going on behind closed doors for him being Q plus or Q or anything of the DIA or the good guys. I think Trump or Flynn or Rogers, if they had somebody like this underneath them, that he would be fired.
Let's, you know, as much as you may not want to talk about incriminating things, I do want to talk about the fact that on March 26th of 2020, he was indicted in federal court. Now, I want to talk about those charges specifically, but on March 26th, our favorite Anon posted several posts which indicate that perhaps somebody was attempting to pretend to be him, to pretend to be part of this movement, to pretend to, you know, have outside comms. We first received this post right here at 1:30 p.m. Maybe you guys can tell me the actual time that the court happened or the indictment took place. But infiltration instead of invasion. We're reminded yet again, no private comms, past, present, future, no comms made outside of this platform. Now, this is a favorite of his acolytes, stating that by very nature of the way that the communications have changed, that it is outside of the original scope. However, it is it's the trip code that is in one place at any one given time, in my mind. And then it gives a definition of a patriot and a traitor. You know, so I believe that the posts that we received on this date specifically pointed to what Austin Steinbart was doing. Now, Jenny, can we talk a little bit about the charges that he was brought up on March 26th?
Yeah, he has not been indicted yet.
Okay.
Those were just, the 26th was the day that it was filed, and that it was actually dated and filed, the federal United States of America against Austin Steinbart. So there's no timestamp or anything. Maybe there's a timestamp of when it was filed, but yeah, mostly there was a company A and a company B, and the main focus was company B, which was Datto. And you know, there was.
We just lost Jenny. Oh man, that was the best part.
Yeah, she's been experiencing some technical issues the last few days. This is why we've had a delay, but yeah, you will definitely have to look at the information that she's uncovered. She's quite the researcher. She's been following along. She's been there. She was there to see Austin on his first court date, and she was there strictly as a citizen investigator. And she's been doing a great job, and that's one of the things that I admire about Jenny. You know, she's really dedicated at finding the truth and exposing, you know, bringing light to the dark.
She'll be back in a moment, but can you tell us what those charges were? I believe it was some type of extortion or some cyber crimes.
Yeah, it was extortion and like with the whole.
She's back.
She's
Jenny,
back.
you're back. Okay, great. So yeah,
Okay.
what were those charges again?
Okay, so it's going to be, the charges were for extortion. So it was mainly against Datto. And there were some other little things that they were complaining about, like they're definitely watching him very closely on these YouTube videos, because they even mentioned the Queen of Denmark threat in the court filings, and the Amen Clinic was also mentioned in that as well. But mainly it seemed like it was about Datto. Now, I got there a tiny bit late that day, so I wasn't able to hear right in the beginning, but it sounded like I might have missed the part that they said about the Amen Clinic, but they definitely were talking about Datto. So the judge decided that it was enough evidence to decide to send this to trial. It's just, the problem is that he's on house arrest until, because of COVID and everything, he's not being tried because no juries can get together yet. So it got put off 90 days, and then he just got another 30 days added. So they have until August 28th to either extend it again or set a trial date, because he literally has not been indicted yet. So he's been on house arrest. But the original filings did say that they were requesting, because they were questioning his mental capacity, and they were saying that maybe he could go to some kind of group home or something. But I think they ended up deciding on having that house arrest because of the whole COVID thing. Because you have to think Arizona shut down about March 13th. and they didn't arrest him until the 31st of March. And his first hearing was on April 7th. So we were well into the whole COVID thing at that point. So I really don't know how long it's going to go, but he's definitely on house arrest at this point until then.
Now, Jenny, I know that you were putting together a video that we were hoping to show tonight. I'm still showing that it's unavailable. It actually says that it's been removed now. So I don't know what the status is with that, but perhaps we can go into a description of that. I mean, has he done other things which have maybe, bordered on criminal or opened himself up to liability or other people, perhaps?
Well, definitely so far as like I said, the Queen of Denmark comment, I think they're going to be, they left it very open. So I don't know how, they didn't even, at the time of the hearing, they hadn't even gone through the computers yet or anything. So it really is anybody's guess what they've found between now, like the time that they took his computers and raided his house until the time that they actually have the jury trial. They'll have evidence and discovery and things like that, I'm sure. But yeah, there is seems like there's another civil case going on right now out of Orange County, California, and that the Amen Clinic is bringing against him. And that was also dated March 26th as well, which is kind of funny. Now, the filings say it wasn't filed until later, but that could have been because of COVID. Everything was closed. So I really don't know if he knew on March 26th or not that he was being sued by the Amen Clinic. But I think that's maybe why they didn't focus so much in on Amen Clinic in that federal case, because Amen was already going to be suing him civilly. Because Dado, I don't believe is. I believe that it's just that they're kind of rolled into this federal case as far as I know. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And I think that link should be up.
It's
see if it's working yet. I just sent you a new one.
Sent me a new one? Okay, let me see if I can get that pulled up here. And there we go. All right.
Let's just see if it worked.
Yeah, still says it's processing.
Okay. So anybody gets a chance, what they should be doing is going back and look at the 2-year delta for today too, because we got a nice little juice one here. So proud to be part of this. It's a whole lot of attention for a LARP.
Yeah.
The Q plus from the 2-year deltas for today are pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's what I named the show, was the FF attempts to discredit the movement. So yeah, kind of interesting that came out today. So what other stuff were we talking about with regards to him trying to discredit people? I mean, you had mentioned something about Sabrina, the way that he treated her. I mean, clearly he brings all of these people together. He's fulfilling a need. He's a charismatic leader. These people are following along. But then all they're doing is propping him up. It sounds like everybody else is spending their money on him. He's not spending any of his own money. He's not offering any information. He's just trying to build an empire, basically.
That's exactly what he's doing. And the main thing here with the bonus for him having Sabrina in this was, you know what I mean? She's got a nice job. She gets paid good money. That's a bit of a piggy bank for him. And then on top of the fact, too, that she can legitimately prove that she is a DOD agent. Doesn't matter what she does there. The point is that she helps him hold some legitimacy to who he is, like in the sense, because he always referred to her as DOD agent. You know what I mean? This DOD agent, like as if she's part of the operation sort of thing, right? Like it's a platform for him. He can stand on her shoulders and shout sort of thing, right? And as soon as she gave him pushback, as soon as she started seeing flaws in his game is when he started to shut her down. Like this whole thing about her with the drama and everything like that there, that he's saying that, we were setting up hidden cameras and all this stuff. I've got audio that clearly states we've got the actual hard drive that these hidden cameras were placed, and they were placed by another gentleman there at the house. And the video clearly shows him walking up to it, adjusting it. And my audio that I have clearly has Austin saying, wide open, yes, Mike, I know you brought it to my attention that so-and-so had started this recording, and I approached him on that. I corrected him on that. I told him that we can't have that sort of thing going on. Then what happens? He goes right out, pulls a tactic from the left, starts bashing and saying these sort of things because he was trying to get ahead of it, saying that thinking that we were going to put some kind of secret footage out or audio, you know what I mean? And it's like, All we did was sit back and watch him fumble, because the amount of lies he told while we sat quiet, just, you know what I mean? I've got everything, his voice totally contradicting everything to that, especially the bashing and slandering of Sabrina. She went through a lot. She, she is a real patriot in this out of everybody there. Especially when he tried to do his swearing in, everybody were there. They all laughed and joked like it was some kind of, like it was a big joke, really, and I ended up raising my voice and piping up,
You're talking about the oath of office?
Yeah. So he came out and he did it, but he was all giggly like a little kid about it. It was a big joke. So, and then everybody else was doing it. Like a couple of people were drunk and giggling about it. It was a big facade for them. It was just a big circle jerk, right? It was a big joke to them. And Sabrina, being a 20-year Air Force veteran, she took it very seriously, and she's taken her oath many times, and she knows it verbatim, right? And when she went to swear Austin in, he was laughing and joking about it. Then everybody else made a big joke about it. And I ended up kind of losing my cool on it. And I piped up and hollered at everybody. And I'm like, have some respect. Have some respect. Austin, eventually came back out, redid his oath. He looked admirable doing it. He did his thing, but it was just goofy as hell. You got people in there wearing shirts with donkeys on them and gold chains. Another guy that's drunk. He can't even get the words right as Sabrina's saying it to him. It was a big joke. Nobody there took it seriously. They all look at Austin like he's their meal ticket. Like, ultimately, he's going to bring me to fame and fortune. Like, these people seriously think that even if he was Q, that they're going to have some high-ranking position up there with Flynn and Trump and have their hands shaken at the White House. Like, you know what I mean? They're citizens. Nobody there's got any special degrees or military experience or anything like that. They're all just going to be brushed aside. Ultimately, like, what are they going to do? Be part of Steinbart Media and make videos? Like, be the news now? Half of them can't even put two sentences together, honestly. Like, drinking all night, sleeping in all day, partying, everything's about gossip. They're like a bunch of little kids over there. And we just got tired of it. Just got sick and tired of it.
So how much money would you say was spent on Austin during the time that you lived there, not his money?
Well, I know for a fact that the Sabrina herself, she did a tally. Now, this isn't all just Austin. This is like groceries and everything like that. And you got to keep in mind, there's supposed to be 4 people on the lease, including Austin. And at any given time, there was 7, 8 people living there. And nobody's pitching in. The odd person would put in $50 a week for groceries or buy pizza or whatever, pitch in for beer. But like, literally, Austin couldn't even afford his own 6-pack. Everything was paid for. Like, there's a gentleman there. He paid the rent. He paid the rent for a few months. I think it was 3 months he paid. I think it was a total of $11 or $12,000. And then Sabrina, out of her pocket on a daily basis, not including his cell phone bill and everything like that, a lot of his software, all this, she was just under $14,000 over a period of 2.5 months. Like amazing. And his promise, I'll pay you back. Nothing. You know what I mean? And when she started seeing all these like different lies about the crypto wallet and then that whole oath thing, that was enough to put her over the edge. She just said, you know what? This guy's a fake. He can't even tell me where to send the papers in to DIA. Like, he doesn't even know his department. And she was giving him lingo. She's talking to him. And she told me, she's like, I'm going to go ask him this question. And if he is legit, he should know what I'm saying. She would ask him. He wouldn't have a clue. You know what I mean? He didn't know what he was talking about. I did the same thing too. I would throw some curveballs at him, and he just, it was like, literally, like, it just makes you wonder, man. And then with everything else, when you put it all together, and this, everybody, like, I came down there with a couple $1,000s too. And it, again, that was gone. Everybody there came there with a little bit of money, but yeah,
Jenny,
he didn't have time. He still actually owes somebody $60 for a battery, a car battery that he hasn't even been able to pay for. Then he tried to manipulate this guy and say, well, you altered the bill. You owe me $60. You're lying to me. Like this guy, like, literally came all the way from California to rip Austin off for $60. Like, this is the mentality that he has, you know what I mean? So to justify so that he doesn't have to pay back. He never paid for a single thing there. On my child's life, he never paid for a single thing there. like a total hypocrisy.
Jenny, what was the crack in the facade for you? I mean, what made you start doubting what his claims were?
Well, I got a lot of pushback on this on Twitter, but everybody was acting like I was trying to air his dirty laundry, and it was completely not the case. But that was just the catalyst for me, because I'm the one that was sitting in every single hearing. Nobody else heard the things that I heard. So when I was sitting there, I think it's when the pretrial services officer was on the stand the same day that he mentioned that he had talked to a DIA friend. The judge looked at him and said, well, so I know I'm familiar with the case and reading up on it, because she wasn't the original judge that ended up arresting him, signing the warrant for the arrest. So she was just getting herself up to date with everything. And she said, I recall that it said the parents and the wife do not believe him that he is DIA. And so, of course, oh boy, when I heard that, and then she said, oh, well, the wife's still there and she's still on board and everything, because she had asked, was the wife there when he got arrested? And both times she was there for the raid, and she was when he was arrested again. And apparently it wasn't because he couldn't show proof of the job. That's why they let him out of jail, because who can show proof of a job right now during COVID, so that I guess they kind of let that one slide. But I guess he was going to try to arrest him on that fact in, like, I think it was mid-April. It was late April when he was arrested again. And so what had happened is he had said something like, this is not going to end well for you, or this is not going to, end well for you, I think is what he said to the pretrial services officer.
Austin
said
that
so
to
it was
the
like
officer.
A threat.
Yeah.
So that's why he ended up going to jail. So I can't really say it's not because he didn't prove his employment. I think it was because he saw it as a threat. So that's why he ended up going to jail, and that's why they got the warrant for his arrest, because he threatened, the officer. So that's why he really went to jail. I mean, for what I was hearing was that he was going to have some kind of a drug test for marijuana, and he was nervous. On all the videos that I was watching, he was saying that he was nervous that he was going to fail it, because it was not even 30 days since he had been arrested, and it stays in your system for a while. So when I saw it had something to do with his job or proof of employment, I was confused, but they didn't even really do it because of that. It was because of the threat. So anyway, back to, she was there, the wife was there. It kind of made me feel better. And when I talked to him, he had said that they were going to be divorcing on paper to separate assets. And so I was like, oh God, that is going to look terrible. But everybody's going to think that he's lying, right? But I said, okay, I guess it makes sense. But as time goes on, I find out there really are no assets. So what are you protecting? Like, I just see all these people paying for everything at the house. I mean, there was one girl at the house that she didn't even have any money just for nail polish remover that lives there. And I'm like, who's paying for all this? That's when I found out that Sabrina was footing the bill for all this stuff. And one of the other guys at the house, I think her name was on the lease, and one of the other guys at the house paid all the money down for the lease. I don't know if it's 3-4 months, whatever it is. It's a lot of money. And Austin's not paying for any of this. I mean, even when we were working on QNN and he wanted us to use one of the intros that you could get and edit, I'm sure that costs like $40 or something. And Michael Corey ended up buying it. And I'm like, isn't there a fund for this? That's when I started asking questions. So that was important to me, that he was still with his wife, and Austin knew that. And I'd always ask him, how's she doing? Is she able to come here and see you? Yeah, she is, but it's still really hard, and she's having a hard time with it, but she's really coming around. She's getting excited, she was getting excited about the whole thing, kind of getting into the whole, Austin being Q thing, now that she's had time to process it. Well, then when I was there, that very first day, I told you July 13th, I was there, and I had asked him how she's doing, like I said, and he said good. And then I found out later that she was leaving him for real, and he lied to my face. And then I found out other things that were going on in the house based on the posts that I put out. So I was learning as everybody else was, but apparently I was getting all kinds of direct messages on Twitter when I came out and said that, he lied to my face, and I just want to know what else he's lying about. It's kind of where it was. And everybody, oh, you're airing his dirty laundry. And that wasn't it. That was just the catalyst for me to go, if he's lying about this, what else is he lying about? You know, I just feel like your word is your bond. I went to all these hearings in good faith. And now that I look back, I say to myself, well, gosh, did he just bring me in close, almost like keep your enemies close, as if he wasn't sure if I would hear something in those hearings. So he wanted to make sure he could control that narrative and make sure that I would maybe report differently. I was always very straightforward with everything I reported. I was going to put that out about the parents not believing him. And then I'm like, oh, well, the wife's still there and she believes him. So, okay, then everything should be fine. And that's why I didn't make a big, huge deal out of it, because it was, okay, she's still there. She's obviously into it, or she's okay with it. So that was my breaking point. And apparently a lot of people knew, everybody in the house knew. And because there was other things going on in the house with somebody else. And then when I put that tweet out, it seemed like there was a lot of direct messages telling me, well, it's about time you knew, and I was waiting for you to find out, and this and that. So it seemed like everybody else knew but me. Yeah. And then I got completely raked over the coals for airing his dirty laundry when it seemed like everybody knew. You know, I'm sure there are followers that didn't know, but I mean, it just put me in a horrible light. I was just like, hey, you know, this is one of the reasons I stuck with him, because it was really the message. I never, ever, ever said hashtag Austin Steinbart is Q, ever. I was always just kind of sitting there waiting, because I was a skeptic in the beginning. I didn't believe it at first. And so I just little by little was just letting, you know, the research stand on its own. And that's why I was always just really into the information itself. I thought he was really super smart. His information was incredible. But now that I look back, I feel like it's probably 90% of the WikiLeaks and 10% either hacking or his imagination. I don't know. But you got to understand, I mean, that takes a lot of time to curate those WikiLeaks. That was a dump. It wasn't a drain, right? So he had to really, really sit there and have a lot of time with those files. Now, apparently Steinbart Technology or Steinbart Merchant Company went under probably around 2018, beginning of 2019, because his wife started working somewhere else at the end of 2018. So I don't know if she was just working and he wasn't working anymore, but I think that he was just really diving into these WikiLeaks. At the same time, he was always on the board, so he was following Q. So all these things kind of knitted together, I would say, probably caused some problems. But I think that's what the whole narrative was coming together. It's like, does he have medical issues or mental issues, or is this a con artist kind of a thing where he's weaving all these stories together? Because he had that whole story on a source document about his grandfather and everything, and all of his past, and how somebody walked by and threatened him with a hammer once when his wife wasn't looking, and then there was a nail on his front door. I mean, all this crazy, or his front porch, all this crazy stuff that it seems like, you know, even looked like he was reading it off of Monitor when he was first doing his videos, which is understandable. I totally get it that you'd have to read it, but it was just a story that he kind of just stayed within that box. Because whenever I'd ask him about something outside of that box, like I'd bring information that I found out about something and he'd be like, interesting. But he never really expanded on it. I think, wow, you'd think that, you know, you'd be interested in it, but it was just, if it wasn't within that box, he didn't really talk about it, in my opinion. So that's kind of where it all happened for me.
Now, you mentioned that he had threatened the court officer. In at least one of his other videos, he alluded to the fact that he was responsible for the death of at least one person. Did he threaten either of you at any point? Either, you know, threaten you to keep you from leaving, or threaten you when you left?
No, not at all. Not me. Anyway, I can't speak for Michael. No.
So he put a video not too long ago, the whole thing where he was another one where he's trying to get ahead of the game, referring to his wife and, you know, children being chopped up, and he's willing to make sacrifices of things. Now, you know, he's pretty good at being cryptic, and he likes to pretend not to be. So I took that video as a straight up threat, because he's talking about, you know, somebody close to him that died right in front of him just recently, talking about children getting chopped up. And in the background, he's got little stuffy space rocket thing that Sabrina had got for him. Then over the other side, he's got that little Q that lights up. That's Sabrina's, you know. And he just, if you notice, his tone just kind of changes when he starts talking about dark things and sacrifices. He almost looks psychotic in a way, you know, like he's trying to get a message across, right? And knowing him, knowing how he is as a person, he likes to try to get inside your head. He likes to try to do things. And to me, it was like a desperate attempt to threaten us. Now, at the same time, he's playing on everybody's heartstrings. Oh, my Sarah, you know, like his wife. But I didn't see that at all. And a lot of other people that are seeing what we see didn't see that at all either. They, like, if you think about it, you think of the Hollywood elite, how they put their videos out. You know, certain politicians have put their videos out. It's the exact same thing. He looked very dark. And this is where it got super personal for me. And this is why I'm meeting him full on. And I'm willing to take him on. And whoever's behind him, I take that as an open threat towards me and my family. So it is what it is.
There was another incident that you told me about in regards to an upcoming election. Is that something you'd care to elaborate on?
Okay, so I can't get into it and say names, but I do know for a fact, and I would testify to this. You know, I was at his house. He showed me a whole itinerary, a game plan as to a certain person that he was willing to do whatever it takes to get them elected, and when in place, as long as they did his bidding, he wouldn't have to air their dirty laundry about getting them in place, and they would have to be on board. We do have documentation of this, of him specifically saying we will do whatever it takes, him and his cyber ninja friends, you know, and if that includes swinging a few votes or rigging an election. Now, he wasn't talking about Trump. This is somebody completely different. And that person just shut him right off. That was it. You know what I mean? That was it. They wanted nothing more to do with it. They haven't spoken to him. They actually think he's a little, you know, POS. So like he's implicating, it's like he's purposefully implicating people, you know, into crimes without them even knowing, without really putting it out there. You know, like there's the whole way he lays his strategy out, and I see the way how he does it. I've spoken to him about this. You know, it's pretty interesting.
So just to be clear, he was preparing to commit some type of election fraud, allegedly, to get somebody elected, so that he could then use that against them to blackmail them into doing his bidding.
If they didn't follow through with what it is that they're going to do, because he was still on the fence about this certain person, whether they are a white hat or not, you know. But in my eyes, you know, his DIA outside sources should be able to tell him that, right? And it shouldn't matter, right? Because again, we're right back to this conundrum where he doesn't trust people. He doesn't trust anybody. You know what I mean? So he's got to get dirt on them or something. Like this is what I mean. These are these things that just don't make sense, you know, like he'll say this one day, he'll say this the next day, you know, and as soon as you ask him questions on it, you know, we'll get into that later, or you'll find out later on as we go.
Any idea what he might want this elected official, this potential elected official, to do for him?
I don't know.
Okay. No indication.
I don't know. I don't want to say. He did lay out a whole entire game plan about it, but I don't really want to say because, you know, again.
Without saying specifically what it is what he would be intending to ask an illegal act in and of itself?
Well, like I guess you could say like he actually never got into actual specifics, but he wanted to make sure that this certain person was in a place that, man, I don't want to say it because I don't want to give away who the person is.
That's fine. I mean, it sounds like he would be essentially blackmailing somebody into maybe making a political decision, voting in a particular way, just someone that he could use as an elected official to do whatever bidding it was that he was looking for.
If they weren't already going to go along with his game plan, you know what I mean? So
someone to control.
Specifically to me, he said about other people, you know what I mean, that they've done this for, where they get them in there and then they, oh yeah, we're all on board for this sort of scenario, and then they change their mind, right? They flip flop.
Wait a second. Did you just say that he's done this before?
He mentioned to me specifically that, you know what I mean, they've been in that situation before. We've had situations before where people haven't followed along with the game plan. So we have had to resort back to bringing certain things out. I had this whole discussion with him in his kitchen. You know what I mean? He literally had an itinerary on his computer screen, again, at the time when, no internet access, but it is what it is.
So was he skirting the rules of his release conditions? I mean, you said he had no internet access, but clearly, I mean, he was able to do things on the internet.
Oh yeah, sock accounts, Twitter, the whole bit.
Okay, all right. So just not logging in as Austin Steinbart, but still on the internet. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we've gotten to the portion of the Jenny. Did you have a comment before we open up the phones?
Yeah, I sent you a new link, so you're all set.
Okay. All right.
Just so you know, but I did want to say something, that the last thing that we want to do, especially me, is make Austin a martyr and say anything that's going to put him back in jail. Because to me, if he goes back to jail, we're going to be the first ones that they're going to think turned him in. Sure. So that is the last thing that I want to do. And that's why we're being so careful about playing whole videos and things like that, because there are things that would not bode well for him. So anybody that's saying that things are being taken out of context in any way, if we keep being pushed, it would be completely putting him back in jail. And it's really the most minor infraction, because when you're on house arrest, I know he was saying a lot in his videos, I can't even have a beer and I didn't even do anything that had to do with liquor. Well, the thing is, if you just read up about house arrest across the board, any state, doesn't matter what it is. No, I don't care if you have a prescription card for marijuana, no marijuana prescription card, no drinking. You have to get permission for guests. You have to, I mean, it's house arrest. But so it's very just plain across the board. Even if he has somebody at his house that's not supposed to be there, is not approved maybe by the pretrial services officer, it's very strict. I mean, when we were in court, he got in trouble because it's at every hearing, but there was one particular one, his competency hearing, where there were others that were there from the group, and they were all starting to come into town when they were moving here. And Austin was staying back with us for a little bit. And he's like, he almost threw him back in jail just for that, because he was supposed to go to there and back.
Go ahead, continue.
Sorry.
It's okay. The caller just needs to mute their computer.
Yeah. So go to there and back. And so that was, he almost gotten in trouble for that. So, I mean, it doesn't take a lot to get thrown back in jail. So I just want to make that, it's almost a statement like, hey, I'm not suicidal. Like, I want to say that. I in no way want to put him back in jail, because he'll be a martyr and people aren't going to really hear the information like what I put together. That's what I really would like.
Right. Which is why I opened the show saying that we're not trying to, do anything specific here. We're not trying to smear him. I'm not trying to put him in jail either. I think that the merits of that decision will be made based upon his own actions and nothing more. All right, our first caller. I'm sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm totally willing to have this debate with him, and him just come out and be honest with everybody. Because since he is walking back, him being Q, he was doing that with Antoine.
Wait a second, he's walked that back?
Yeah, he was walking that back with Antoine Tucker when Antoine Tucker was there, because Antoine Tucker was specifically saying, if he isn't Q, I'll prove it. And then he gets to the house, and now all of a sudden it's all about the movement. But as we see, Antoine Tucker hasn't been saying too much about him lately.
Yeah.
Just things like that. And he walked back the whole outside sources thing. He walked back the wallet. He's walked back the wife. He's just so many things, you know what I mean? And it adds up. How much more BS can you take, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay. All right. Scott is our first caller, and you're here on the program. Scott, welcome. Good to see you, buddy.
Nice to see you. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem. What's your question or comment?
I'm going to look at this from a 40,000 foot view. 40 years ago, I served in military intelligence. And from my common sense perspective, we were trained that you never talked about what you know, you never talked about what you do. If you ever leaked a word about anything you saw, heard, or experienced, you're going to spend the rest of your life in Fort Leavenworth. So what I'm trying to figure out from a common sense point of view is how can somebody like an Austin Steinbart go on the internet and even claim to know anything about anything on a Q level clearance, because my clearance was way lower than that. I could walk into the White House, but yet this guy claims he's got a nuclear level clearance and he's just blabbing like crazy. So somebody explain that to me.
Wish I could, buddy.
Well, I mean, did he ever try to justify any of these things? I mean, clearly...
his whole thing is, I'm a secret agent. You know what I mean? I'm not actual DIA. I'm like an informant. And one of his things that he's referred back to is he's like, how the CIA has El Chapo, DIA has him. So it's like he is, but he isn't, right? So it's always these vague answers, you know. It's always like, we'll get into that later, or I can't get into that. But like, again, like you referred to him, that whole scenario about him, you know, possibly to have gotten his hands dirty murdering somebody, that certain person that was lit on fire or that committed suicide by fire. Then he had that whole napalm video. Like, you know, he would go around smug in the house making jokes about it, you know, like which I thought was weird because, you know, it doesn't matter who or what you are. Like, and I've talked to many veterans, and I've never once heard anybody brag about any sort of confirmed kill.
Michael, there's people in my family 40 years later have no idea what I did for a living, where I was, nothing about my job. I've never talked about it. I'll never talk about it, let alone put it on the frickin' internet. I mean, this makes no sense to me. So my question to you guys is, how can we look at this Q thing with so much accuracy that's been proven and realize that one person is that smart to have 20,000 operations going at the same time worldwide with world leaders and controlling all of it? Somebody explain that to me.
And still be able to get drunk on the weekends, you know what I mean? But still, so one of the things that I thought was very strange was the whole thing with him, you know, exactly that, being able to control all these things, and he's commander, or he's going to be commander, and, you know, to be a guy that just, like, it was like he nitpicked things off the internet almost to put together his own story. He never, he never went around and spoke of secret missions or anything like that. He never told us anything like that. Now, the whole Q board thing, you know, in my eyes, I look at it as, you know, say he is Q. You would think that the deep state, if he is Q and he's Q plus in the future, you know, this is one of my questions is, you know, where we were at Geronimo in Scottsdale, there was zero security there, you know, zero security. So what's stopping the deep state from just sending in a hit team or the FBI kicking the door in and just saying, well, yeah, he had a weapon in his hand, so we laced him. You know what I mean? That takes care of that problem. He's not going to be around 40 years from now to send these messages back. And then his excuse is, well, I've got a team always on standby. Well, I'll tell you this. I went around that property every day at 5 in the morning. Every time I drove around there, I always was keeping 6 on everything, and I never saw anything out of the normal. But yet he would totally come out and say, well, my outside sources are saying that, you know, Sabrina called my PO on me, and they gave me the heads up to it that she did because they don't want to see me go back to jail, right? They don't want to see that happen, so they gave him the heads up. But yet at the same time, you know, they don't give him the heads up that the FBI is going to kick his door in and possibly assassinate him.
Michael,
you know,
if I could pop in for a second, because as I'm hearing you use certain words, it's a cautionary tale for everybody watching this or listening to this. Anytime somebody says my outside sources tell me, I have anonymous sources. Bullcrap. Just say, I want to know where you found it, and you go right for the source or the sauce, as we use the terms. I'll ask them, tell me where you found it. I want to go read it. I want to go listen to it. And then we're going to come back and have an adult conversation. I have zero tolerance for anyone who tells me they know something, they heard something, they have sources. No, I want specifics. And critical thinking is the only way through this fog that people are putting in front of us. And I'm going to close with this. I don't know how long, Red Pill is going to let me bloviate here, but I'm going to tell you something. My mother taught me something when I was a young man, and she said, never follow men. And by that, she meant people. They'll always let you down. And she said, keep your eyes on Christ. He'll never let you down. And I'm not preaching here, but I'm telling you something. I don't follow any person. I don't follow any Twitter account. I don't follow anybody on 8kun. I look at it. I take it. I look at it logically. I put it in front of my friends, and I go, help me understand. Maybe I'm getting put to sleep here. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't take anything at its word anymore. And that's what we were taught through this whole movement. We were taught one thing. You're all full of crap. Prove it to me.
Exactly. Think for yourself, research for yourself. And that's one thing that Austin pushes all the time. These people that I have around here are think for yourself people. But as soon as you step out of his narrative in thinking for yourself, you're
right.
back.
And for you and Jen, don't ever feel any guilt or shame or anything what you've lived through, because we all could have done it. Trust me on this.
Yep.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Scott, thanks for your call, brother. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Red Pill. Love you, brother.
We'll talk to you soon, brother. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Take care. Good stuff. All right, awesome. Let's see. We've got Quips Defoe coming in as our next caller. Let's see. Waiting for Quips. Go ahead and unmute your microphone. And
sorry, buddy. Just killing the video at the same time, so no feedback. How are you, Red Pill?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Caller from Patrick's show, if you don't remember.
I recognize the voice. How you been?
Gotcha. Yeah, good. Good yourself?
I can't complain. Having a good time. Life is sweet. Hope you're enjoying the show?
Good to hear. Yeah, this one especially, dude. Look, I want to echo Scott's sentiments at the end there, because I joined the Twitter sphere as far as Q is concerned late. I was always just in on the chans, on your channel, reading. I read a lot of Neon Revolt. If you're still in chat, love you, buddy.
There he is.
Oh, dude, I shield that guy everywhere. I shielded that guy to my hairdresser the other day. Always my go-to source. Anyway, great. So when I first got onto the Twitter sphere about, I think this was probably about 6 months ago at the start of the year. I think a lot of people can probably attest to my feelings. I hated everybody. So everyone got my attention equally, because the Twitter is just a mess. So much noise, right?
Dumpster fire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I paid attention to Austin for about once. I'm about 1% of Michael. I didn't move in with the dude, but I can't. I'm on the other side of the world.
Right.
And I quickly found the actual most dangerous man on the internet. So you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But Austin is a coward, dude. He's just a coward juggling balls. He's got too many balls in the air. It's very obvious to me. As soon as I turned ship and stopped paying attention and just treated him as the LARP that he is, I think Michael can attest to this. I think about 50% of his Twitter posts have me replying on it, asking him to debate me. Because he was always asking for debates. Always. Anyone, all the Q Pharisees, etc.
Yes.
But you didn't have the platform. So you didn't have the big...
Exactly. He was looking for the clout, not the debate. Right?
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's why, you know how many times I would specifically sit there and debate him, even on quantum technology, stuff like that, and I could see through everything that he's saying. He was just so... he would sit there and observe everybody, and he would just, I could really get into his head, in the sense that I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm thinking what he's thinking right now. Him and I, there'd be a whole commotion going on, and him and I would lock eyes from opposite sides of the room like lovers, man. And It's like he knew that I could see through his BS. You know what I mean? Like, and I would just give him that wink, like, man, I am watching you, bro. I am watching you, and I'm watching every word you say. You know, and I absorb it all because, and this is the thing, Austin, if you're watching, and I know you are, bro, debate me. Debate me.
I know Austin's watching tonight, dude. He's an absolute narcissist.
Yeah.
He's watching when Aaron's in chat. Hey, Aaron, you absolute normie. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. I didn't really want to. I'm not a debater, as you know from my previous call in. I'm just a nobody, a law student from Australia, just a QAnon follower. So I didn't really want to debate him as such as just banter with him, because I think if you were just to banter with him as someone who spent time on the chans and deep within this community, I think his lack of knowledge of slang, non-clementia, you know, dog whistles, etc. I think it would show really quickly if you just gave him the leash, gave him the rope to hang himself with.
If he's him with Dominic Izzo. Did anybody watch him with Dominic Izzo? Because he got really flustered in the beginning of that. Now he did take over at the end because Dominic got Dominic to lose his cool. But if you can keep your cool with Austin, you'd be surprised how tongue twisted he gets and starts stuttering, which is a big tell as well too. You know what I mean? I'm an avid poker player, and you can tell when people are starting to get flustered. And you know, I've flustered him a lot, and a lot of that audio that I have, he's flustered a lot with the questions that I have for him. So you know what I mean? You just got to ask the right questions. You know,
Izzo's a beast too. He would straight up body Austin.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as he got on the phone, he immediately, had him on the defensive. I mean, because he was apparently having people tweet out that he was about to actually have an appearance on Dominic's show. He was going to be a guest, but no, he was just a caller. I mean, it would be like you, Quips, sending out a tweet saying, "Hey, Mom and Dad, I'm going to be on Red Pill 78 tonight. I'm featured." You know, and then they get on and they're like, "Wait a second."
Damn, I forgot. Damn it. Hey, no, but one of the interesting points that I was just talking to a Watcher of the Dead, and we were talking. I was mentioning about the balls juggling. Austin still follows me. Like he hasn't even
me too.
got the time to go and like unfollow me, even though I've obviously turned well against him. I just right. So, but no,
I never block anybody, and he blocked me. You know, what's the matter? Austin's scared of what
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He doesn't want his followers to hear what we have to say, does he? You know what I mean?
It doesn't sound like he's very up on his admin, just on his drama.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's a shame, you know. I mean, and I haven't spoken about it specifically because I didn't feel that there needed to be any additional attention brought to him. And the only reason we're doing this now is because, you know, these people and I got in touch with each other and they told me some of the heinous stuff that went on. We haven't even really talked about it yet. I mean, there's a lot more stuff. And I urge everyone to follow both of these people so that after the show tonight, you can see the additional information that they're going to put out. But you know, I mean, he's done some real damage to people. And I thought that if I didn't ever mention him, if I just didn't talk about it, you know, I said one time, you know, Austin Steinbart's not Q, case closed. And after tonight, you know, I'm not going to bother to mention it ever again. It's unnecessary. But you know, he in that time, he has done some real damage. And I think that he has, you know, provided himself as a wedge in this movement. You know, people are looking for the truth. And there are some people who, you know, just find themselves getting sucked into that. I see him as, you know, almost like a Jim Jones type figure. Like he's a charismatic leader, somebody who knows what to say to people and what to say and when, so that he can fill a niche in their life and fill up that empty part in their soul, and then at the same time, they are providing some needs for him. You know, I mean, he doesn't have any money. He is locked in his house all the time. He has a full-time party there at his house. Everyone does everything for him. Nobody questions him, and if they question him, you get kicked out. You know, I mean, it's like an episode of Big Brother or that Hype House on TikTok or whatever it's called. We just lost Michael, but. You know,
we didn't get kicked out though.
Oh well, no. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. You left, but I'm saying his public statement is that he kicked you guys out. Nobody could leave Austin Steinbach.
Exactly.
You know, it's like he's like an Ike Turner. You know.
I think.
Well, yeah, you've got my proof that that's not the case, but yeah.
I think he might be overselling his media his media training a little bit, maybe, because I have noticed that he is waning. He had sparkly talking points at the start.
Yep.
And then he's just repeated those sparkly talking points ad nauseum for 6-8 months or something now. He hasn't added really anything new to the table.
No.
Since his appearance. It's like he got a dossier of, his talking points at the start, and he can't write any more himself. So yeah, I think he's gonna run out of steam really soon and stop juggling balls. To end my tirade, I think the telling point is going to be whether he does actually have a Netflix series. For me,
what I know about this, apparently it's from what I've heard, it's supposed to be more of like a pay-per-view. Since Roger Richards is doing this, kind of the same thing that they did with Above Majestic, where you had to buy $19 or something, whatever it is. I have no idea. That's what it was when I bought it, Above Majestic. But I don't know if it's going to be on Hulu or Netflix, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a pay-per-view kind of a thing, from what I've heard anyway. That's one thing I don't know a lot about, how that came about. I know that Roger Richards apparently contacted Sabrina because she was the chief of staff. But other than that, I would follow that because that was legitimate. But they were shooting at a place here in Scottsdale that was basically gifted by somebody that had some studio time. There was no studio time ever, as far as I know, paid for yet to date. They've shot there, where he's strolling around, some of his footage, they've shot there. But other than that, I believe that was gifted by somebody that followed Austin.
Okay, yeah.
Another very well-meaning person, once again. So everything is definitely, he hasn't paid for any of that.
Yeah, because, the only two options that are left in my head is that he's either seriously controlled opposition or a paranoid schizophreniac that people are taking advantage of.
I tend to think it's a combination of the both.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because if he's just a dangerous, mentally ill person that people are taking advantage of, then the valuable action would be just to leave it alone and give him the least amount of attention possible, right?
Right.
But on the other side of things is if he is a seriously controlled, opposition, you want to do kind of the opposite of that. Dig into it and tear it down and pay attention to it. So I think it's kind of important to, at some point, make that distinction. But at this point, I personally don't have enough information. But I think there's a really good Twitter, before I go, there's a really good Twitter that I will, Kate Maz, I don't know her personally or anything. It's at First 5D. She smashes this dude.
She's
been
talking
all
about
sorts
it
of
a
things.
lot. Yeah.
One of the most telling points was that he had a public defender, which I don't think that you would be allowed if you had assets at all. I don't think if you were rich and had all this coin, building a compound, etc. LARP, that you would be able to welch off the welfare state to get yourself a public defender. That doesn't seem righteous if legal.
No, I don't believe so either. That was a big tell for me as well. And to your point about, mental illness and, or being a controlled asset, I'd like to remind everybody that the FBI office there in Phoenix is the office that put out that, this movement is a terrorist organization, that memo that stated that. And that's the same FBI that would have went after him because that's the area of Arizona that he lives in. So I think it's highly likely that he is mentally ill, and as such, he's a useful idiot for the FBI, who are looking to discredit not only this movement, but also potentially President Trump. I mean, that comment that Michael made about voter fraud, that would be so quick and easy. Just turn around and pin that on the president. So, I just want everybody to be aware, okay? If you are still one of those people who were on the fence about it, I just want to give you the tools so that you can make the, an accurate decision about who to follow and who to continue, to listen to. And if you still, after watching this episode, want to follow Austin Steinbart, that's your prerogative, and you're welcome to stick around here. But I'm not interested in having people show up in my chat every show beyond this point saying hashtag Austin Steinbart is Q, because as far as I'm concerned, he's definitely not.
Yeah, that's why that's why I've been really dove down the rabbit hole with Austin, and I put together this video because I was finding some things that I did not even see originally. And then when you have new eyes and finding out that somebody lied about something, what else did he lie about? And the things that I reached out to, I don't think that anybody's going to have a whole lot of doubt that he is not who he says he is. And just like you were saying, he's one of two things. He's either extremely intelligent, he's delusional, he's a hacker, and he's a con man. Could he be deep state? Maybe. But I think that if the FBI here in Phoenix wants to take down the Q movement, they'll just use him. He's like convenient. They'll just ride his coattails and go down when he goes down in a pile on camera. And then all of a sudden the whole Q movement is going to be associated with this, just like the guy that put the Q on the hand.
Yep, absolutely. You know, the hitman in New York, the guy right. in the dam that was in Arizona too, wasn't it? Was it Arizona Nevada border or something like that?
Was it Hoover Dam? Yeah,
Hoover
it
Dam?
Was, and that's I think that was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
2 years ago.
God.
A Q drop.
Arizona glows in the dark, dude.
It sure does.
There's a lot here.
It's like a statewide Broward County, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Quips, thanks for your call, brother. Appreciate you.
No, all right. Thank you for having the time for me once again, and be well, everyone. Much love.
Absolutely.
Where we go on, we go all.
We go all. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, buddy.
Peace. All right, Michael, is he back yet? Do not. Oh, here he is. Yep, he made it back. And we'll also bring in Denise as well. Michael, looks like we've got you back. Glad to see that everything's working. Good stuff.
He's on your phone.
So, DIA didn't shut me down. Alzheimer didn't shut me down.
No way.
Yeah, I forgot to plug the tablet in, so I guess that's my fault. I guess I'll be called dumb for that.
No problem. While we're waiting for Denise to get her microphone on, I just need to do a couple of quick thank yous. Thank you, everybody who is supporting the channel, be it on PayPal or on Cash App, Patreon, Subscribestar. I appreciate you all. I couldn't do this without your help. Dawn says, great show as always. Also, Joseph, thank you for that. Connie, thank you very, very much. Lorraine, thank you for that. Susanna, I appreciate you. And then this was from Yelzis from Kazakhstan. I did not see this question yesterday. Yelzis, I'm going to screenshot this because this is a very long question. And you want me to read it during the broadcast? Tell you what, Yelzis, I'm going to read this on Comfy Sunday, okay? Because we've got that full hour before our guest comes in. So I will read that on Comfy Sunday. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Also, Christine. Thank you for Christine. Dave says, Red Pill, big tip. Here's how to never, ever get sick at the cost of distilled water a day. Okay, I'm going to have to screenshot this too, buddy. That's a big one. Thank you very much. Susanna. Thank you very much, Susanna. And that should be everybody on PayPal. If I missed you on PayPal, guys, sorry. The PayPal, the app is not set up very good. Dana Finkler on Cash App says, call me ASAP. Obviously, I can't call you right now, Dana. Nancy says, I appreciate all you do for us. Thank you, Nancy. Gafferanon says, did Offensteinbart have a tumor, or was that a scam? That's not something I had ever heard. Did you guys ever hear that?
Nope.
I never heard anything about a tumor, but in the video that I did cover some of the things.
Yeah, the brain scan.
Based on the brain scan. Yeah, and I really dove really deep into that.
So I'm okay. The video is working. I didn't quite realize it was going to be 20 minutes long though. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put the link, you guys. I want you to take this link and I want you to watch this video after we're done here. And this is a deep dive into, well, give us an update, give us a preview of what is in the video. And this is going to go.
Say the whole thing? Or
no, not the whole thing. Just
okay.
Just tell people why they should watch it. And you know what? If we play it right now, it's going to take up the last half of the show. So,
right.
Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a link to it in the description of this video. I'm also going to tweet it out, and I'm putting it all here in the chat. And I will also share it on my community page, so it'll be on my channel with a direct link to Miss Cuniverse's channel. I'd also like for you to subscribe to her on YouTube too.
Yes,
but
and, guys, you should definitely be following along with her channel. Make sure you subscribe because there's going to be a lot more coming.
That's right. That's right. And you're also on Twitter as Miss Universe as well. But
Yes, MQuniverse, correct.
Yeah. But just give us a preview about what is in there, because I want to make sure that people go and watch this.
Okay, just a quick little background about kind of where I was at when I ended up telling Austin that I was going to, I told him best of luck in my text. And I had reached out, Katie G over at Citizens Investigative Report had reached out to me, and I was going to be talking to her about some things. And many of you know that my mom had a stroke, and she came back home around this whole time that this was all going on. And I was doing this deep dive. And then last week, I lost a cousin and I lost my stepmother. So it's just been a really, really rough time. And I told Katie at the time I'd get back to her. And then because of everything that happened, I just decided I'm going to do a deep dive myself. I'm going to do a video, because it was so much information that it's hard to just send all the court documents and have you put it up and explain everything. And it's too much for Twitter. So I just decided I'm just going to do a video. And this is my way of answering everybody, because I put that tweet up and nobody, I never answered anybody because it was just, there's so much vitriol. Everybody was so mad. And I just said, you know what, I'd rather just explain everything in a video. So I basically started out the video explaining why that was just a catalyst of finding out that Austin really was getting a divorce, and that she was leaving him. So I deep dove into everything, and I started really looking back, because I found out that there was a thread that I was added to when I very, very first was invited into the whole Austin thing. And there was people in there asking questions. Hey, why was he alone in court? Hey, what's this letter that Austin put on one of his videos about, the demand letter that one of the lawyers put up? And it was a copy of it. That's the only one that anybody has. It's like half the letter. And it stated that his mother, for the Amen Clinic, that his mother had signed the agreements as his mother and legal guardian. And I said to myself, well, who the hell needs a legal guardian at 29 years old? So I didn't even realize that had happened at the time, that was in that thread, until I looked all the way back after I started making this deep dive, because somebody just asked me, why was he alone in court? So I just kind of looked at it from there. You know how chats go so fast in direct messages? Yeah. You can't keep up with it. I have a job and I have a life. So when I look back at it, I saw this letter. I said, I never saw this. And so apparently there were two people that got really mad, I guess, and got in a fight with other people about maybe bringing me in, because here I was on the chat saying what happened in court, and saying that no, his wife wasn't there. I don't know if his wife picked him up from court or what happened, or if you're on house arrest, if you could drive yourself. Or when I met him, and then he was with his lawyer and left. He was still outside talking to his lawyer at the courthouse. So I don't know if he drove himself. I don't know if his wife was around the corner. Sure. I know that he wanted to keep her out of it. Who knows? So then I started looking back into this, and I found that letter, and then I started diving into that and trying to find out, like, hold on a second. If Austin's explanation that he put in one of his videos about the fact that she was a guardian, that she put herself down as a guardian, was because they live in Texas, and he's lived away from them for probably over a decade. And he's been here in Arizona, and they just wanted to be able to get access to the medical records. But I mean, if you know that when you go to the doctor, if you want somebody to have your information, it's a simple HIPAA form, right, that you just release it. You fill out who it is. They don't have to sign anything. Fill out who it is, how long you want them to have it, like the expiration, and then just sign it and you're done. But if somebody really wants your records, they have to actually fill out almost like a access to somebody's medical records. And you have to prove that you're either the parent, legal guardian, like just check a box, right? It seems like she checked both. So then I said to myself, all right, well, what if he's been going to Amen Clinic for like way longer than we think? That's what I was thinking. I'm like, maybe he's been going since he was 17, and then she would have checked that I'm the mother and the legal guardian. So that would make sense. So then I said to myself, because I have like this photographic memory for dates and where I am when things happen. And I'm like, I remember watching a video that happened a couple days after the hearing, where I met him, and where he was explaining that, oh, my mom's been on my case ever since she saw a TED Talk. And that was about 1.5 years ago. So if it was 1.5 years ago from this past April, that means it was recent. So why did she fill out the fact that she was a legal guardian? So that makes me wonder. I've really researched this back and forth, other than just, reaching out to his parents, which I didn't want to do. I'm trying to respect their privacy, but, or his wife. So that kind of led me to set up the whole deep dive into the Amen Clinic, because they didn't really touch on that very much in the federal case. And then I started looking at the fact that I found the actual case itself, Orange County. It's a criminal. I'm sorry, it's a civil case, and started diving into that. And that's where the video really blows up. And I want everybody to take a look at it because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But man, this is where it gets personal. This is where the people that follow Austin, because people don't do things, they don't take action. They always say, oh, that's happening out there, that's not happening in my world, so it's not affecting me. This is affecting Austin's followers. This is going to affect people. And this is why I'm blowing the whistle and saying, if he's not going to tell you, I'm going to tell you, because you can actually get in trouble here. And so that's why I want you guys to watch this video. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to put it on.
No,
I tried to make it as short as possible, but it's about 18 minutes, but it's pretty chock full. It's just a little bit of a build up to explain the legal letter, and then boom.
Sure. You did an awesome job, and this is very crucial, especially to those close to him. I do got to say, hats off to Jenny for putting this together. A citizen journalist, somebody that has stuck to her guns in this. She's always wanted to look at the truth. She's wanted to shine a little light in the darkness, and I'm telling you, this is crucial for people to. You got to share this. You got to get this out there.
And to everybody that follows him, because this is not a witch hunt for me. It really isn't. I've always been about truth. I've always been about truth. Always, always, always. And you'll listen to interviews with me, and I said Austin was the nicest guy when I met him. He's so brilliant. He had this energy that just like blew you back. He's very, very charming.
Very charismatic.
Innocent when I met him. And then when I saw him kind of almost like strutting around the house after a while, like a peacock. And still very nice to me and everything, but I could tell that it was getting to him. And that's where I started feeling like the whole check a box for the cult mentality, the cult leader, the taking advantage of people, the money, it checked every box almost like of a cult. And then I started saying to myself, well, they're going to take the movement down. The mainstream media is going to focus on this. And then the Q movement is going to look like a cult movement. And at first he said, the say everything because the Q movement needs a face now. We need to move forward. And I think it's the worst thing that could have happened was have a face to it, because when you have a face to something, it is a cult mentality. People are like, it's the Austin show 24/7. It's not about the information. People say, think for yourself, look at a message over messenger, but it's all about Austin. No matter what you say to people, they just will not keep an open mind about this.
The thing too is that the Twitter takedown of anything QAnon conveniently right after Austin gets access to his internet. You know what I mean? So put a face on Q. Austin, what are they going to do? Ban anything that has the word Austin in it? So everybody turns then to Austin for information. And then what? Then it's deemed what? A cult or a terrorist organization, and then it's completely shut down. Eroding it from the inside out, like it's just like. Sorry, Jenny, go ahead.
It's okay. There's something else I wanted to say about how I always said how I want to keep the movement together. It bothered me so much because you have to understand, like Red Pill and all the different people. iPod. I love to listen to him. I still do, and it hurt me. I hated the word Pharisee. I never used it. If I would use it, it was just to say what I didn't like it. And I was trying to bring the movement together. And there was this is what's making me so mad. So July 4th, I found out that Truth Hammer, the one that also covered the trial, I never met him personally. I missed him at the first hearing. And then the second hearing, he was there, but we didn't speak. And apparently his brother is dying of cancer. And he put up a GoFundMe and said, my sister needs to have my sister-in-law needs a car. They've got 5 kids, or I can't remember how many kids. And so I sent a link to Austin. I sent it to Michael Corey. I sent it to Sabrina to get to Austin. I sent him a text. I sent him a message through Telegram. I did everything I could. And I said, this is a really great way to bring the movements back together. If you put this out and say, let's just put our everything aside and let's help a fellow QAnon out, a QAnon member. And he wouldn't answer me. And it was left on red. And I mean, I've got proof of that. It just completely ignored me. And even Michael Corey said, I did ask him, but if anybody could convince him, it would be you. And he just wouldn't do it. He wouldn't. I'm saying to myself, I even said to my husband, I go, all right, well, if he's not a divider, then why won't he do this? And that was July 4th, and my mom had the stroke on the 5th. So I completely, like, my whole world blew up. And then as soon as I could actually start doing stuff again to start shooting the first episode of QNN, I kind of like brushed it under the rug because I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. My best friend had just had a stroke. So then after I had time for my mind to settle, because that whole QNN thing was just a whirlwind and it was very disorganized. And that was one of the reasons why I complained to Austin. I said, I can't do this. This is not organized. It's not, I mean, I'm a businesswoman. I've had a business for 21 years. I can't do business like this. So my time is valuable. And that's something that I said in that post. And now when I look back and I was refreshed my memory about how angry I was about the fact that he would not do that, I thought, what a perfect opportunity to bring the movement together. And it was totally missed and totally ignored. And that's when I really started to question who he was.
Well, you know, I have to believe that there was never any intention to do anything like that. I mean, it was all an attempt to hijack the movement, not to bring people together in any fashion. So sad, but I'm not surprised. We are having some issues with the stream. When you started telling that story, suddenly we're not receiving enough data for the stream. Looks like it's picked up a little bit. Hopefully it's going to stop buffering right now, but we've got Denise on the line. Denise, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Denise is our UK correspondent. Always a pleasure to speak with you, Denise. What's your question or comment for the guests?
Well, I'm flummoxed. I watched Austin's first video, and within a couple of minutes, I couldn't understand how anybody could believe anything that he said. You know my past life. I worked with the military for 15, 16 years. I was a civilian, but my job was to take care of the soldiers in the capacity of a welfare officer. So you get to be able to read people. And he just struck me. He's either a sociopath, a psychopath, or a mixture of the two. I just wanted to put him over my knee and spank him. You know, he's definitely got mental issues, definitely. And I couldn't listen to him. You could just see it. I could see it in the way he acted, the way he talked, his facial expressions, everything was just read fake to me. And I got so that I just could not watch anymore. I think I watched about 5 minutes of his first video, and I just couldn't watch any more of him. And when people were raving about him, I would answer him. How can you believe what he's saying? I don't get it. I really don't. But that's maybe me being an old girl and being sort of empathic a bit.
Denise, I feel like a lot of people had that feeling. I mean, when I saw his first video, because I know I never said this on the air, but he sent me his first video and messaged me sometime back in February. And I started watching the video and I said, well, either this kid has a really wild imagination, or this family history that he's speaking about is true, and this would be interesting to at least pick his brain. And then he got to the part where he said that he was posting on the boards, and he said he jumped the shark. And I messaged him back then, and I said I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk to me. He never responded. All he would do would be to publicly decry anyone with a platform and try to engage them publicly. He wasn't interested in having any kind of other further commentary. Mm-hmm. And I immediately thought that he had some type of, he was a pathological narcissist, and like you said, perhaps, a sociopath, not a psychopath, because, I think he's pretty aware of what he's doing, but, just interested in building up this legend about himself. You know, my question for Jenny and Michael, did you guys see his videos before you met him in person? Or, because I'm wondering if that was part of the charm. I mean, for him to be able to draw you guys in person, or if you saw what he was putting out and then you came into contact with him.
Well, one of the big things for me is that a friend of mine that's, well, I hope he's a friend. He's still there in that house, and he actually brought it to my attention. And one of the things that I thought that was really intriguing was the green glitches in his video that were purposely put there. You know, and he's got them in almost every video. A couple of videos, he's got more than one. And there's definitely something there. You know, he likes to say that, oh, I do that on purpose because I'm trying to, you know, mirror what it is that the deep state does when they like have hostage videos and to scare them and stuff. But there's something there. There's data there. There's something going on there, and that's what intrigued me, right? So I started to dissect everything about him. Now, a point that I want to make, because you did touch on it about his lineage and everything like that. Like, any person can trace their bloodline back to somebody spectacular. You know what I mean? Like my bloodline, I can trace all the way back to one of the first knights of the Round Table. Now, does that mean I should be royalty? You know what I mean? And this is where he goes with this. This is his whole thing. Anybody can do it. You know what I mean? Everybody's a descendant of somebody.
I often say I'm a big fan of Magic Sword, but I never tell anybody that I'm Q. It's on my phone, listen to playlists all the time, but that'd be the last thing I'd think to tell people.
It's one of these things where anybody, you know what I mean? Like, all the stuff that is like puts him on a pedestal is all vague things, you know what I mean? And I find that a lot of his followers are people that he gives them an opportunity to speak, right? He gives them a voice in a sense, right? He'll retweet their tweets or something like that. And one of his things is he says, well, the Pharisees don't do this for the small guy. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to give everybody a voice. But it's like, you know what I mean? I find that the older people with more life experience are the ones that are bringing him into question. You know what I mean? The younger people, or the people looking for the clout, or somebody that just wants to be in the spotlight, they don't look at the things. You know what I mean? Like, it is hard for a lot of people that are diehard Austin fans to really do a dive. Now, they're always the people that push the whole think for yourself. As soon as you throw something at them and slap them in the face with some hard facts, you know, like, they're like, oh, let's hear this audio you got. You know, let's see these documents you got. You drop them, court docs, all this stuff, audio of Austin specifically saying something, and they're just like, come up with an excuse for it. You know what I mean? And that's fine. That's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I don't bash them for it. You know, I might call somebody a moron or something like that because they're not looking at the lineup of things. You know what I mean? They'll attack us. They'll do whatever they want to say. But you look at all the things that add up. You know, like Q has taught us. Think for yourself, research, put the pieces together, put the puzzle together. You know, oh, what, because he doesn't have a basketball court, he's not Q?
No.
You know?
Yeah, that's why I stick with the facts too. I said in the beginning of the show how I kind of got into it. I thought he was a LARP too in the beginning, like I said to you, until I heard somebody say something about Louisa, and that's when I just started looking at everything. And that's why I went to the courthouse just to, I mean, shoot, he's right here in Phoenix. But to back up a little bit, even before that happened. So when I started taking a deep dive into all of his videos, I went to sleep that night after binge watching them. And it sounds weird, but I had a dream that I met him, like at some like restaurant or something. And he asked me, what do you do for a living? So I told him and stuff. I said, yeah, but you know, I feel like I love what I do and everything. I just feel like I'm not making a difference. You know, we all have jobs, but they're not our passions. You know, they're not like something that we want to change the world or do something to add to helping to change the world, bring out change. So I said, I just don't know. You know, I've been doing this forever, but I don't know why. And he's like, well, you will know soon. And he like grabbed my right hand and kind of held it up like this. And then that's when the next day I woke up and that was the Q tweet, or the Q drop, I should say, about it was not armor of God. And that's why I had an argument with somebody in the movement. That was not armor of God. It was an Ephesians quote, the have no fear.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it was the same visual that he's used before in video about armor of God, but that was not the quote. It was have no fear, lift up your right hand. And I was like, I will take your right hand. I was like, that's so weird. That's like my dream. So, you know, I'm a spiritual person, and I always say, oh, wow, maybe that's meant to be. Maybe I'm supposed to go, you know, go to this guy's courthouse or whatever and meet him and see, or just at least feel his energy and see if he's for real. But you know what? My ex-husband had the same birthday as I have, and that didn't work out so well. So I got to kind of go with those gut feelings that I have. So yeah, do I get a little woo-woo sometimes? And I guess I'm like kind of a mutt that I use all these different modalities, but you know, I believe everything and nothing at the same time. So that's kind of that's why I guess I got taken in by the Austin thing, because I met him personally, and like I said, he wasn't so cocky and wasn't such a peacock when I met him. He was just a guy that was alone. And what I said at the time, and I said this in an interview, it was like, well, Mom, I don't think we just wasted any time, because either we just supported a guy that is mentally unstable and he's by himself, he has nobody here, or we just met Q. So either way, it's okay. And that's kind of where I left it, but I always kept an open mind.
His ego definitely grew as things progressed. You know, I saw it happening, evolving. The one thing that he always bashed everybody for, ego, you know what I mean? And I just saw it, you know, you could see it happening almost by the minute.
On tremendous display. All right, Denise, thank you so much for your call.
Well, but the thing is, Red Pill, he's a good-looking young man, and he's got a charismatic character. And I would love to see an IQ test done on him, because he is extremely intelligent, but he's intelligent in a very dangerous way. I can't remember his name, but can you remember that preacher that had a huge following?
Jim Jones.
He got them all in the jungle.
Jim Jones.
And got them all to commit suicide. He reminds me of him.
Yeah.
That's who he reminds me of.
Yeah, me too.
Same character type. You know, the same charisma and all. Anyway, I've taken up enough of your time, so I'll leave you to go on to your next caller.
Thank you, Denise. I always appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Denise.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
My computer is starting to glitch out a little bit. The DIA is hacking my computer. Oh, man. Come on.
Well, Austin's a hacker, so.
Watch. Oh, man. And for some reason, I can't remove Denise from the call.
No, I'm still here.
There we go. Okay, there you go. All right, I think I just did it. Okay, great. Let me fix the audio now, because Denise is always just a little bit louder. Man. And there we go. We'll tune this back up. All right, guys, so we're getting to the point where we're almost at the end of the show. We're going to take one more call, and then I'm going to have Michael and Jenny give you guys all of their information on where you can find them on social media. Here we go. Aaron Moriarty will be our last caller for the evening. Aaron, welcome back to the show. Good to see you. Hey, I like the new backdrop, buddy. How are you?
Great. If I was doing any better, I'd be you.
Well, my computer's starting to glitch out, so hopefully better than me.
Yeah, I got the flag up. I just shot a Peppy show, and so Queppy's gonna do the oath with the flag.
I like it. Well, so what's your question for Jenny and Michael?
Well, Jenny and Michael, I'm glad that you got out of there. I only saw a portion of one of his videos, the one where he was brandishing a gun. And I thought, this guy is definitely not Q. This Austin isn't even as real as Austin Powers. He's not as real as Queppy. And, you know, he's and the Jim Jones thing, I completely agree. And I thought of a great name for him. We're all pronouncing his name wrong. It's Steinbrat, okay? Austin Steinbrat.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, Q would never. no comms outside of the Chans. That's number one. And number two, he's, I don't know, he just does not seem very believable to me. So I never watched any more than just a couple of minutes of that one video. And so I'm glad you guys got out of there. And, you know, anybody who has any amount of intelligence can get people to follow them. It's like easy to get people to follow. And it sounds like he's just making stuff up from all the stories you guys are telling. He's just making stuff up, trying
We're
to
threading things together. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, Aaron,
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead, Michael.
A lot of it was those proofs in the beginning for me. It was a lot of those proofs and stuff like that were coming through, and I was like, I'll admit, I was kind of I was looking at them hazed a bit, hazy, I guess you could say, because, you know, and that was the thing that really intrigued me. But it was like about the message that he was doing, trying to bring that together, because I did see a lot of big names and stuff like that weren't. They, you know what I mean? There was a lot of separate things, and a lot of people had their own opinions and stuff like that. And I think a lot of it was he brought a little bit of pizzazz, and he kind of, you know what I mean? Like he was arrogant, and I dig that. You know what I mean? I'm pretty arrogant, you know. So it was one of those things, man. And you know, but I've seen it grow into a big ego thing for him, and I'm thinking, if you are Q, you know, I don't know if I want to see what you're going to be like in 20 years. I don't know if I want to see what you're going to be look like in 6 months, bro. Like where I've seen him come from and end up now within just 2 months, that's pretty spooky, man. And this guy's supposed to be in control of the internet all over the world. Well, I don't know, man. That's some Dr. Evil stuff going on there.
Yeah. Austin Powers is a much more believable person, I think.
I always thought he reminded me of like Max Headroom because I'm aging myself now.
You know, the first
That's
time
what I thought at first.
I thought he might be AI. He might not even be a real person at first.
Yeah, it was like Austin Powers / Jim Carrey / Jimmy Neutron /
Yeah.
Some people didn't even think he was real.
I see
had
all of it.
literally DM me and say, "Can you just like get a video of you just touching him so I know he's real?"
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, my computer is getting to the point where I'm not able to do anything. So we're going to go ahead and close out the show. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you calling in, buddy.
Thanks, Aaron.
And you're going to have to hang up, I think, because there we go. Hold on. It worked. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys. Before we end the show, Miss Quniverse, please tell the audience where they can find you. I've dropped your YouTube link into the chat like 50 times. It's also in the description of this video, and I've shared it as a community post on my YouTube channel. But where else can they find you?
Just the only place I am since March is at mquniverse on Twitter, and this is my first video I've ever done. I have literally had to start from scratch with this whole video thing. So I don't even know if I have like an actual link yet, but I'm just under Miss Quniverse on YouTube. I haven't even tried to search myself yet. I mean, it's just been, I don't even think you could have that kind of identification yet with one video, but that's not my intention to be like, oh, this is what I want to do. But I had, because I do work in advertising, and my editor put together like a beginning and an ending for me like months ago, and I still had that little crown as my profile. And when I was helping Michael Corey with his opening and closing on his shows before the QNN started. So I had that one, so I used it. But that's all I have is just the mquniverse right now at Twitter and the YouTube.
Let's see where it goes, Jenny, because that video, everybody, is crucial for everybody to see that video. And again, especially the people that are really close to Austin. It's crucial that you watch this. And again, think for yourself, look at the facts. But as for me, I'm I'm on Twitter at Qnadian, KEWNADIAN. So that's where I'm at. And you guys, if you follow along, I'm going to start dropping some bombs, man. So we'll see where this goes. And hopefully I'll be working with Jenny here in the future, and we'll be pumping out some good videos, Austin related or not. But we're making some plans.
All right, good stuff. Well, listen, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you had a good time. And as far as I'm concerned, case closed. We'll never talk about this ever again, but please be on the lookout for additional information coming out from Qnadian and Miss Quniverse. All right, you guys, love you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody who supported the show. Thank you to the mods for keeping the chat comfy. Don't miss it. Tomorrow I'll be back at 9 p.m. for Saturday night live stream, and then Sunday at 7 p.m. for Comfy Sunday. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.